Today, of course, we're trying out our first few runs in 0.32, the new version. So we have a couple new species to play with, some god changes, a bunch of new spells, I believe. I haven't looked too deeply into the patch notes, but I'm looking forward to trying it out, because with those changes, even more than usual, who knows what the dungeon has in store. So without further ado, let's get ready to hop into the new version here, shall we? And so we'll likely be trying out one of the new species first and foremost. So we have mountain dwarves finally being brought back. They do unfortunately replace hill orcs, but on the flip side, anyone can kind of be a hill orc now. But that's something that we probably won't see too much, seeing as how we already got through our BO victory early on in this series. But still definitely worth trying out. Being able to scroll some artifacts seems interesting for sure. But I was mainly intrigued by the new Coglings here. So we got some exoskeletons and able to wield weapons in both hands. Slowly revving metal is something I have a bit of periphery knowledge on. I believe the first few attacks that you make are slower than normal, and then you kind of get the engine rolling. So that'll be interesting to play around with and make sure we're accounting for those little delays at the start of combat. But yeah, I guess let's just jump into it. Fighter not being recommended is interesting to me. It might be potentially because they start with a shield, and shield is possible on a Cogling, but you're giving up your second weapon slot, and on top of that, I believe they have a pretty terrible aptitude. It's another thing that I dabbled in briefly, was just taking a look at the new aptitudes for both these species. So let's just start Gladiator, keep it simple for now, and we'll likely be going with axes. And I'll go with just a classic goblin name in my mind, Gonzo. No idea where it comes from. It's probably informed from the deep recesses of my brain by some IP, I would assume. Who knows if that's Magic the Gathering, like Warcraft 3 way back in the day, or what have you. But regardless, let's go in with Gonzo, shall we? And we'll get our skills set up in a fairly normal fashion here. Nothing too exciting going on there. Of course, auto pickup as well. Ooh, we have the new evocable item here as well. Now that's interesting. And I'll pick up the talismans. I don't think that we'll go into transformations here, but you never know what the dungeon will roll our way. And last but not least, we'll of course dump that morgue file in case any of you lovely folks are playing along from home and want to see how you fare in the dungeon here. So with that, I think we're all set up. We can do a quick check. So wield a second weapon, this we knew. Takes a long time for you to wield or remove held weapons. Okay, so we can't really use weapons as like resistant stat sticks. First few attacks do less damage. I'm wondering if I just got that wrong then? Are they also slower, or is that the revving? I guess we'll have to see, at least to a certain extent. And you cannot equip rings or amulets. Now that's interesting. We're going to be hoping, I guess, that we find ourselves with two weapons that also offer significant resists, because not having ring slots is definitely going to be felt a bit later. But we can see anytime we attack here, we're swinging our axe and our dagger. So it seems like both are hitting at the same time. If we look at our stats, okay, they share an attack delay. So I don't know if that's going to be the slowest one or an average of the two. Looks to be an average, I guess, because our war axe is probably attacking fairly slow still. Base attack delay of 1.5. We don't have that many skills, or that much skill in it. Also going to reset the target to 16, because I always make that mistake. Think I'm using a hand axe instead of a war axe. But the dagger being faster seems to bring down our overall attack speed, which is fascinating. I don't know if that means that there may be some credence to, we're getting very surrounded, but hopefully we can attack quickly here. But some credence to the idea of always having like a quick weapon in your offhand to kind of offset. But I guess then you're not getting the full damage multiplication of having like two broad axes swinging away at any given moment. Well, it's so sad to see rings and not be picking them up. Ooh, we also start, I just noticed, with a lot of dexterity on the Coglin. So I don't know, maybe axes weren't our best bet. and having a couple of short blades or long blades would have been the key here, but regardless, we've kind of sunk our teeth into axes, so we'll be going with strength here. Your brain swirls with designs for an ecto-commutator. Commutator? An ecto-commutator TH20. Just needs some more time. Interesting. So getting that message on level up makes me assume that at a certain level, we'll be able to build a machine of sorts. Oh, and I probably should not run directly at the first null pack we find. A D2 null pack with a bunch of halberds doesn't seem to be the most ideal situation to find ourselves in. So in that regard, we'll play it safe. I believe there have been some minor changes to how constriction works as well. Most notably, on the fortunate side for us players. Ooh, jeez. This might actually kill me as I try to run away as fast as we can. Ooh-wee. But right, with constriction, completely blanking my mind there, we can now blink out 100% of the time, so that's nice. No more random feels bad moments where you're trying to blink out with a valuable scroll there. Not that it's not going to come with its own slew of difficulties regardless. Constriction is always a little bit sketchy in that regard. Ooh, a sling. So that's something that I've not thought too much about. I believe you can use ranged weapons. I guess only one-handed ranged weapons. That restricts us pretty drastically to slings. Also didn't mean to take both our null friends upstairs. Probably should have, at the very least, just fought them head on instead of giving them the free hits, but I guess all's well that ends well, so not going to complain too much. There we go. I've been looking for some slightly heavier armor this entire time. Can slowly but surely upgrade. And a heavy hand axe. So it's not the attack speed that I was looking for. Base attack delay of 1.3 goes up to 1.5 for us here. But we would be hitting like a truck. I'm curious if there's any credence to that. We could even just potentially swap out our war axe. And how does the overall damage compare here? So up to 17 versus, where do you say it in here? 14. So our damage goes up a little bit actually, though we are attacking slightly slower. Not sure how I feel about that overall. We'll use it for now. It's kind of interesting and fancy at the very least, if nothing else. But we'll see how this feels and how it goes, shall we? Ooh, and there's another armor upgrade for us. We can actually drop all this old stuff as well, seeing as how I will likely forget to do so later on down the road. And let's see here. I'm trying to get rid of the polearm user, and then the rest of you, I think... I was going to say, I think fighting one-on-one we do alright, and then was not paying attention as we immediately slipped into death. Whoopsie daisies, sorry Gonzo. So not our most impressive first try here, especially with how we went out. 9 damage at the end there. Okay, that makes sense. We got hit a little harder than I expected. Let's just reset. Exact same situation here. Actually set our axes to the proper target. Look at that. He's learning. It's a gosh darn miracle. But otherwise, I think we'll be in pretty much the same spot. And we'll grab that seed here once more as well. What a shame. Hey, Alt Catch Fire. Coglin, this is new to you. It's new to me as well. Yeah, brand new with the latest update here. So we'll be trying it out. Ooh, I like that protection ring with fly on it. It's a little pricey. Oh wait, I can't wear rings or amulets. What am I doing with my life? Oh, how quickly the excitement crumbles to resent and disappointment there. But let's try to get a little bit further along with our Coglin this time. Give it some time to stretch its legs and potentially see what the new species is all about. Okie dokie. No idea where those kids will meet us later down the road. That's fine by me. And not too shabby. This one, okay, I thought would be a little more straightforward. Turns out it's just a maze of hallways here with the glass just adding to my confusion at every step. But not too bad. We seem to be very strong on the Coglin for the first couple floors of the dungeon. Nothing really troubling us here. Don't know how much of that can be attributed to luck versus kind of how they're set up. I guess being able to hit hard, I think, does give a lot of benefit in the early game. All these enemies have low enough HP that by and large we're able to kind of murder them in one hit when both of our weapons slam down. So we'll see how things continue in that regard, and if perception changes at all with a bit more experience here. But I mean, even the fact that I'm able to just tap into those large groups of enemies is a fairly good indication as to how we're looking in the first few floors of the dungeon. Oh, hello, Jessica. First unique that we're fighting. I'll let you come close to me. Did take an extra step there as I accidentally double tapped our directional keys, but nothing too outside the ordinary, nothing we can't handle there. Hey, Uf, how's it going, my friend? I guess hello and goodbye, Uf. Ah, now Sigmund, you're a little bit trickier for us to deal with. I guess we do start with the nets. So I could just hit this 50% chance. I think we can pretty quickly smash our way through. Thank you, Sigmund. We do go back up to 3 nets as well. Yikes. I never should have let 2 of these buddies stand next to me, but here we are. Hopefully we can get to a stairwell before we take too much damage. And then it'll be a bit of a coin flip, but fortunately we come out on top. Holy moly. Now what do we do about this little herd of gnolls we have going? Guess if we run back to this stairwell, we can continue to split them up, as we would much prefer to do. Fantastic. I'm also just now noticing that when we equipped the new weapon last time, it didn't prompt us for whether to replace our main hand or our offhand, so I'm not too sure how exactly that's going to work out here. But let us definitely net this first moccasin. In fact, if I could net you again, 37% chance is not great, but it is just enough. That's about all you can ask for. I will go up and heal up. We could probably take on a hobgoblin without too much trouble, especially one that is not even wielding a weapon. It's 2 versus 0 in that department, I guess. But rather be safe than sorry. So we played careful there. And there we go. We're able to upgrade our armor slot once again here before. Let's check out some options. So at 1.0 with our current weapon setup, if I take off the dagger and switch it for the axe. No, how do I do this? I'd like to wield you on my other hand. Okay, so it seems like there's a bit of a mismatch between the click functionality here in offline mode and the wield, but we're still at 1.0 because we have good training in both these. And I'm excited to see double axes because I'm assuming the cleave will proc on both hits, so we should have pretty unparalleled ability to deal with groups of enemies. Not that that's ever really what you should be aiming for in this game. Generally reducing or simplifying conflict is the best path forward, but nice to know that we have a little bit of extra backup firepower if and when the situation demands it, especially when we get, down to lair and you're having your huge hordes of yaks and wolves descending upon you. Ooh, definitely would like to run and grab that glove in just a moment, as long as we don't immediately succumb to the poison of our scorpion friend, at least. Not too shabby. In fact, let's actually head up, throw our gloves on before we get too much deeper here, will give us just a little bit more defensibility. And +3 Dagger of Holy Wrath. I'm probably not gonna worry about that. I was debating picking up the dagger to have another kind of option for our offhand here, but again, pretty satisfied for the time being with our dual axe situation here. So that's fantastic. Ooh, and I guess this opens up the question of god choice. So with the revving, I'm curious if Wu Jian would be a good option. The council helps that that's also on the list of gods that we have yet to score a victory with. So I think it could be a nice fit here. We can use Serpent's Lash rather, to get some early revving up and out of the way, and then wade in when we're full power. That seems like it could be a pretty useful situation here for our goblin mecha friend. But we shall see when we hopefully find a temple soon. I guess we had those altars up there. Sif Muna is still on our list as needing a victory. Was anyone else? Was Zin there, I think, potentially? But regardless, let's hop in here and take a look. We do have a council. So I think that's the direction we're going to take here. Bit of mobility seems beneficial at the very least. And again, those kind of combos with attacks. Plus we have like the whirlwind attack for getting some more area damage. I'm curious how exactly that will look with the multi-weapon procs here. I mean, you can tell as we face off against that orc pack, that one is almost beneficial for us to get slightly out of position. Risked it a bit with our ogre friend there, but all's well that ends well. Oh, speaking of, it's every single one. Ooh, this one has the glaive user, which I don't love. In fact, hopefully we can net you. Okay, I thought for sure we might actually succumb there. I guess we are very low health. This son of a gun might kill us. I'm gonna look for... Oh, we got mutation, not heal. That's not gonna cut it. Heal? No attraction. Son of a gun. So, almost definitely should have just backed off there, especially after we defeated the first beetle. We had a glaive user. We could have gone away. But hey, it's all about experimentation and rushing into the thick of things for now. Not going to worry overly much about playing perfectly, and it's more about, you know, exploring the new species, getting a bit of a feel for them, seeing what we can and cannot get away with. So those negative, troublesome scenarios are just as useful in that context as anything else. Robot pun names, hey Safid. You know, I knew we were missing something here. Sure, Gonzo the Goblin is a classic, but I like Megahertz for sure, Android, Bite Knight, Robo Sapien. All good stuff here. And before I forget, let's run over, grab that seed, and throw that bad boy up, shall we? And back into the mix we go. We'll see if we can't play a little bit more intelligently. We've now learned, based on the first two runs, through experience, we've learned that we can't be quite as reckless as there's maybe some temptation to be. I think you can kind of get away with it if you're just getting lucky. Both weapons are hitting every time, so you're outputting pretty absurd amounts for the early game, and you're able to kind of take advantage of that fully. But maybe this time we take our foot off the gas a little bit. We're not quite at put your foot on the brakes territory. Let's not be silly, especially since that's not really under the purview of my general train of thoughts anyway. It's usually rush headfirst and hope that everything works out in some kind of naive optimism. But we'll see how it all shakes out, I guess. It's still going to be very, very disappointing for any time in the near future when we run into a ring and I'm unable to use it. Something that's normally very exciting for us. It's been relegated to useless here. especially with the rings and amulets, the one thing that you can usually be, a little more assured of. Yeah, Pit Trap taking us down to D3 shouldn't be too much of a change. I do also like to see that we get an Ice Blast here if we survive long enough to actually take advantage of it in any way, shape, or form. Perfect.